Hello, 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 and welcome. This is Her Talk Show. My name is Sabrina Victoria. I am here with Dena, and we are talking all about mastering your message regarding business. Get comfortable as we explore the triumphs and the challenges faced by women worldwide around this problem. This is a real problem right here is we don't know what we are selling. We don't know how to put it together. We don't know how to package it. We don't know how to talk about it. These elevator pitches are driving me insane. So we're going to be touching in on this. Dean is going to be offering some insight, some inspiration on how to fuel this so we can get you some professional growth towards your business. Let's jump in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
All right. If you're listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever we're at so we can send you some love in the comments. We're here every day, delving deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We have interviewed well over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. We have Dena. She is a successful online entrepreneur who has found her unique way of sharing how to thrive in motherhood while still creating personal fulfillment, accomplishment, and connection with others. She has spent the last decade creating content, community, and connections in the online space through one thing: words. Using tools like meditation, mindfulness, and grit, Dena has established herself as a strong voice in both the motherhood and online business spaces. When not working or spending quality time with her family, you can find Dena at the gym with her girlfriends or eating ice cream, which she loves and would never ever give up. I like that extra. I would never ever give up. Girl. It sounds like you're talking to a vegan. Like, this is what you say to vegans. Like, girl, I get you, but never, ever, ever gonna give up ice cream.
First of all, I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for having me, Sabrina. But I think it's just another nod to owning who I am, right? And so even in my bio, you'll hear it, the strong type of language that I use, even if I have to reiterate, no, I'm not ever going to give up ice cream. I don't care who tells me otherwise. I don't even care probably at times what my body tells me otherwise. I'm not going to do it. And it's okay to stand firm in who we are and share that, especially in our messaging in the online space.
Girl, I love this. I love this because so many are trying to stay in this like gray area of not offending anybody because they're trying to appease everybody, and therefore they're not creating anything. So was this always a thing? Have you always been hard stance, or is this kind of something that you've really acknowledged works and so you've been leaning into it? What's your story around that?
I think I've always had a strong personality. I've always been an unflappable type of character. I've always been the type of person that pursued what I was passionate about unapologetically, and then turning into the online space and going through those ups and downs of, I don't want to piss this person off, or I can't just close my work off to this type of person. The reality that I learned the hard way, and I think many of us learn the hard way, is if we think everybody is our audience, nobody is our audience. And the reality, especially for those of us in the digital space, is you were at one point your ideal market, your ideal target audience, and you have to do the work to figure out who that person is. I'm going to say who she is in my perspective, in my point of view, who she is, so that you know how to speak to her.
Yeah. So I want to dig into this a little bit because this is what and I'm sure you hear this all the time. Like, technically their niche could be talking to anybody. So the one that I hear all the time is coaches that coach overwhelm, and then coaches who coach trauma, right? So if we go with trauma, their answer is always, well, everyone has trauma. Men and women, all ages have trauma. Therefore, my audience is everyone. So how is it not? How do you tell somebody like that, or convince somebody, or get them to see, now that we're trying to convince people, but get them to realize like, oh, damn, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a great question. So here's the thing. There are some things universally that we will all have in common, all people. That doesn't mean that those are the people that you're put on this planet to be of service to.
Mm.
Here's when I start working with people, I believe this foundational digging is so important, right? Like who do you work for, who do you work with, and what do you do, right? And I think so many people jump into the online space specifically without ever having the chance to answer those questions, because they think of things like overwhelm and trauma as these umbrella statements of anybody who has those can come into my world. Here's where I like to pull it back with people. 80% of your clients or your target market are going to have some things in common. 20% are going to be those everybody's, right? Let's just use male, female, for example. Maybe you are somebody who works with people unpacking their trauma and healing their trauma. But 80% are going to have something in common, and the 20% are going to have superfluous, I'm losing that word. That's okay. Are going to have other characteristics that don't align with the 80%. But in your messaging, when you talk, you need to be talking to those 80%, because that is the majority of people that have whipped out their credit cards, have taken action, and are willing to pay you for your services. Those are the people that you target. The other 20% that come into your world are just a bonus.
Totally get that. Very, very interesting. How does, speaking of trauma, let's just stick with trauma for now. How would somebody go about niching that down, right? So we say niche, and then all of a sudden they're just like, okay, women.
Mhm.
Is that a niche? Is that good enough?
It's not good enough. It's absolutely not good enough. We'll use trauma, continue with trauma. You can talk to women specifically who have had birth trauma. You can talk to women who have the trauma of being people pleasers their whole life. You can talk to women who have the trauma of domestic abuse or sexual assault, right? And the more willing you are to dig a little deeper into who your audience actually is, the more willing your client will be to invest. And using trauma, which is a wonderful example, here's the thing. If that's your niche, you want people to feel comfortable with you. They want to feel comfortable when they visit your website. They want to feel comfortable with you when they're on your social media, right? Trauma falls flat. If I am somebody who's experienced domestic violence, for example, the word trauma is going to fall flat on me unless you specify that you help women specifically that have been through what I've been through.
Got it. Yes. So normally what Dena is saying here, an individual like NLP is a big one right now. Like I'm NLP certified. I'm a master NLP.
Mhm.
So technically, Dena, I can help people that have had birth trauma and people pleasers and people who have had sexual assault and people who have had domestic violence. I can help all of them with my expertise. But what you're saying, which is what I want everyone to understand, is the comfortability of somebody who has experienced domestic violence, knowing that they're dealing with somebody who only works with that niche.
Right. And listen, the word only, the word only is subjective too, but birth trauma is another great one. Sure. Can NLP help all of these things? Can people help cope through with it? Absolutely. However, I want to know, as a survivor looking to become a thriver, I want to know that you specifically work with the pain I'm experiencing, right? So before we even talk about messaging, what we need to identify, especially in the digital space, is what pain is our ideal client in. Trauma does not go deep enough. It does not go deep enough. Again, because like you said, Sabrina, we all have it. So what pain is your audience in right now? How does your work actually help transform or transmute their pain, right? You speak to the transformation, and how can you target these people directly in your messaging so that they know they are not only safe with you, but that you are the right person to help them overcome their pain.
Love that. Definitely makes things a lot easier. I do want to ask though, what happens when you are specializing in birth trauma, and then all of a sudden somebody comes to you realizing that you help or that you're an NLP practitioner, and they just come with some obscure thing like sexual trauma? How do you turn that down? Should you turn that down? What does that look like in conversation? How can we set ourselves up as a business coach to be able to stay in our lane?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you're always going to have, again, that 20% of customers that come to you that don't check all the marks as the other 80%. So that's your opportunity to say, do I want to work with this person? Am I qualified to work with this person? That's a really, really important question that you have to ask yourself. Well, especially since just because we're talking about the lens of trauma right now. If you are not qualified to work with these people, please do the appropriate thing. That, like, don't think about, well, they're going to give me $2,000 or they're going to give me $3,000. If you are working with a vulnerable population who is coming to you for help and you are not qualified to help them, please have a referral source that you can send them to, because all people deserve support and help. They may come to you because they found you, but that doesn't mean that you are the right person to help them through their pain.
Yep. Absolutely. I had this situation happen about 6 months ago where a woman talking in the realm of sexuality came onto my podcast. Brilliant woman. So much information around different aspects of sensuality and sexuality. And after the podcast ended, a couple days later, and I told a little bit of my story during the podcast. I don't even remember what I told her. She sent me an email that said, "Hey, you had mentioned some stuff around this topic. I'd love to give you a free, I don't know, 3-week something where we meet 3 or 4 times and we can clear some stuff for you." And I was like, "Yeah, she's free." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm totally open to that. That would be great." Book a call, show up. She's asking me all these questions. She sounds like she knows what she's doing. All of a sudden, she's asking me about my childhood. I'm sharing stuff. I mean, I've got sexual trauma all through my life. Like, it's really effing heavy. The reason she knew it was heavy is because I started crying on the podcast. Like, it was so heavy. I was crying on the podcast. Not like ridiculous, but I got emotional. So she could feel the heaviness around sexuality. She's asking about my childhood. Then she jumped up to when I was 30. Then she jumped back to my abuse. Then she jumped, and I'm just vomiting all this stuff, right? 90 minutes goes by so fast. I have revealed so much trauma to this random person. And getting off the Zoom call with her was so uncomfortable because there was no clearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we jumped all over the place. There was so much revealed. It was so vulnerable for me. And I don't think I know now that it was way above what you're saying, her expertise. What did you say? Are you qualified? It was way above what she was qualified to take care of. And what would have been nice, right? She did follow up for a second call. I was so traumatized by the first call and like the way that it was cut off and the way that I felt when it ended. It was so heavy for me. I like didn't set up a second call. I just kind of put it away because I'm like, I don't want to fucking do that again. My whole day was fucked up. So, and out of time, like I'm trying to run a business. So anyways, I think she got the hint. And like a couple days later, she messaged me. She's like, "You know what? I think maybe we should put this on hold, pause it for a moment. We'll see." But what would have been nice is if she would have had a referral or a recommendation of somebody else and just basically said like, "Hey, that was really heavy. I don't know if I'm totally qualified for this. Maybe you should reach out to this person." And not that I would have, but that would have given me some comfort versus just realizing it's not good and then shoving me off to the side, basically.
Right. And it would have given you closure. I think you and I have both been in the online space for many years. And I think many new people, especially in coaching, and I'm going to use this because what the hell is coaching anyway? Let's just be honest, right? What the hell is it anyway? People come into it excited because they want to change the world. They want to help people. We're all here to be of service to other people in some way. That's why we're on this planet. However, if you are not qualified to bring people into their trauma and to take them out appropriately, do not ask the questions that you don't have the conclusions for. Do not bring people down into a road that you cannot leave them with a sense of closure. And that, like what happened to you, it's a perfect example where you were stuck in your trauma for the rest of the day instead of being able to move forward.
Yeah, nothing was reframed.
Right.
Nothing was, taken care of. Nothing was made smaller or black and white or littler or put away or boxed up, the mental games that you can play during some of these sessions. I've done a lot of them. Nothing.
Yeah.
It was basically it was like a therapy session, basically. And there was no release. So I have a question regarding even this story that I told you.
Hmm.
How does somebody create messaging so that the person reading the messaging knows whether or not they are a good candidate for that messaging? What are some things that should be in the messaging?
It's a great question. There are marketers out there who love to market to the pain, right? Are you this person? Are you experiencing this? Are you constantly being a people pleaser, right? I personally don't love marketing to the pain. I love marketing to the transformation. And you can take both angles, right? I'm just sharing because that feels better for me. That feels better for me. I don't necessarily I want to identify where you are emotionally, but I want to show you the end of the road. I want to show you how much better life can be. I want to show you how much better your business can be when you take action, when you invest, when you do the work. In
Can
order,
you give
go ahead.
an example of any topic you want, but can you give me an example of marketing to the pain versus marketing to the transition? Like one genre, and then what's the pain versus the transition? What would that
Okay,
sound
let's use business as an example, right?
Okay, business,
So
yep.
the pain is you've been doing this for so long, you're constantly putting yourself out there, you get no engagement, right? You have all of these strategy calls, but nothing clicks over. That's the pain. You've
Okay.
invested tens of thousands of dollars, you know you're meant for more, but you're ready to quit. That's the pain, right? Like
Dude,
this
that was
sucks right
real
now.
painful. I
Yeah,
felt that.
you're right. This sucks right now. And listen, in the online space, many of us have been there at different parts of our journey, right?
Yep,
We have
absolutely.
been there. We're only on the other side of it because we've been there, right?
Yep.
So that's the pain because that part sucks in business. The transformation is words like imagine having a booked out client roster. Imagine not stressing about how you're going to pay your bills this month because your business is thriving. Imagine this piece of you that actually stands in their power and helps people successfully all the time and gets paid for it. Right? So the pain is where you are right now. We have to be willing to do this work. And I do this at least 2 times a year for myself. We have to understand the pain that people are in. We have to understand what we call their pain points, but we can also intentionally market to the transformation. We can market to the emotional aspect of what it feels like to get to the other side, right? My other side is I've been on well over 100 podcasts. If you told me when I was floundering, starting this work from my kitchen table with my little babies running around, that I was going to be at a place where I was speaking in front of 400 people, that I was on well over 100 podcasts, that I had booked out client rosters beyond my wildest dreams, I would have invested in it because I
Mm,
wanted that. I want the emotional transformation that you can promise in your work. But
mm.
you need to understand first the pain that I'm in, the struggling and the suffering that I'm in. And even this is even more important because I find that this is atrocious and it happens all the time in the coaching industry. People don't actually understand what they do. So you need to know your own
God.
program. They're like, I help heart-centered service providers make money. Okay, how? Now tell me how, right? Because when you truly understand how you are doing it, then you can market to the transformation. Then you can sell me on it. But if I, as a struggling, suffering person, especially in business, sense that you actually don't have the answers, I'm not going to invest in you.
That's the whole thing.
You have to be so certain about your program and what you do and the transformation that it brings, that tangible, even though emotions aren't tangible, but in real life it can be for us, that tangible outcome. Now you have people in your loop. Now you have people interacting on your social media. Now you have people saying, hey, Dena, by the way, can you tell me more about your services? Why, yes, I can.
I love this. You have to be so certainty is, I think, the main component of people buying from you. It's the lack of certainty, not only in their messaging, but even just in the way that they convey it.
That's right. I see all the time with coaching. Well, my program is 3 months. Okay, tell me week by week what we're working on.
Mm.
If you
It's
have
organically put together depending on
right, depending on your needs, well, then you're not taking me anywhere. Listen, that might get a few clients every now and then, but it's not going to consistently get you the right people that are willing to invest in you. You have to know week by week the transformation you are working on with your clients so that you can take them on a journey. These people are trusting you to
Yeah.
take them on a journey away from their pain and into their success. Well, however that's defined by them.
Yeah, I really like how you're saying that they're trusting you. People don't necessarily take that to heart of like what that means.
Mm,
They're giving you sometimes thousands of dollars.
mhm.
And then they're trusting you. And then you have the audacity to show up on your first meeting just saying, like, well,
What's going on?
you'll guide it.
Right.
You'll be the guide to
Right.
what I create. That's just insanity to me. And then what's even more insane is like um the frustration of not being able to make a sale because they have no structure. They're like confused. Like you've put no time and no effort into creating some sort of a method or a signature product or a signature service. You haven't put any thought to an L acronym of any kind.
Mhm.
Not that that's what makes it, right? But there's nothing tangible. And then you're just mad at everybody for not purchasing.
Right. That's right. That's right. You have to be willing to do the foundational work first before we even get to messaging, right? And listen, creating an audience, creating an engagement is so important, especially in the social space. Engagement is one of the things that I've learned how to master over the past decade. Like me or hate me, people are engaging with me and I'm fine with it because it brings more eyes onto when I do throw my offers out there. But you have to be willing to really map it out for people and for yourself. And I just want to go back to that word trust, because before I hopped on with you, I was on another call. A woman who in 20 minutes, I sold her a brand new website package, right? And we had a follow-up call today, and she told me so many times, I trust you, Dena. I trust you. That is the biggest honor of my life.
Yeah.
Not that she invested in me, because I've got people to invest in me that don't necessarily trust me, and that's a contentious relationship.
Yeah.
The fact that she was willing to invest in me is great because it helps my business. It makes me feel validated, right? It helps me pay my bills. It is my whole world. But she trusts me.
Yeah.
She trusts that I am going, and this is really intentional language that I use when I'm talking to people on a sales call, but she trusts that I am the right partner for her to take her business to the next level.
Mm.
Because we're not coming in just as an expert. We're coming in as a partner, especially when you are supporting other service-based practitioners. You are their partner in success.
Yeah.
Their trust in you is the ultimate. It's more important than what they're paying you. They are trusting that you have the answers, that you are the right person to turn to for guidance, for suggestion. They're trusting you with their baby, their business baby, or their trauma baby. They're trusting you with it.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a tremendous honor and a huge responsibility. You have to know what you are doing with these people so that your trust stays consistent through the process.
Yeah, totally agree with that. When it comes to, we're talking a lot about the message. How do we know, or I guess, what is the process to find out who we are talking to? Is there a form? Is there a setup? Is there a website? Like, where do we go? Do we just sit at our kitchen table? Um, how do we navigate finding out who our person is?
It's a great question. I have worksheets personally that I share with my clients. They're 6 pages, right? It's not like, oh, who do you work with? And you tell me and I believe you. I don't believe you. You have to give me 6 pages of context. Talk to me about who this person is. Where does she shop? What types of books does she read? Right? What types of conversations is she having? What is her deepest, darkest secret that she doesn't share with the world? And then ask yourself too, who do I like to work with? Who was my favorite client that I ever had, even if it was in a different leg of business? Why did you like working with that person? Did you enjoy about that relationship? Who did you hate working with? What type of work relationship or support relationship would you never enter into again that wasn't reciprocated or that drained you of your energy? All of these questions need to be answered by you first before you figure out how to speak to that person. You need to do that foundational work first.
I like how you're talking about sort of kind of touching on it's not only what you do want, but also what you don't want.
Oh, it's huge. Listen, my entire life, and this is personal, my entire life has been a journey of figuring out what I don't like or what I don't do well, and then working against those tendencies. I am the type of person, I've got to put my hands in fire to figure out that it's hot. Sometimes I have to put it in 2 or 3 times to figure out that it's hot, that I don't want to do it anymore. So your life's journey has unveiled to you what doesn't work for you or who doesn't work for you. You have to be willing to listen to it, and you have to be brave and courageous enough to then work against it if it's not working for you.
Got it. And then as far as what you're talking about regarding the message, right? Mastering your message is what we're talking about. Where does this message go? Is this just like at the top of your website? That's it? Where are we putting our message?
It is on your social media, it is on your website, it's on your sales pages and your landing pages. Anywhere that you want people to take action, you need to make sure you are speaking to the right person. Now, when it comes to mastering your messaging, we're not always just selling on social media. If you're always just selling on social media, nobody is going to come into your community, right? Because not everybody wants to be sold to at all times. In fact, the posts where I am selling get my lowest amount of engagement because people come to me for my messaging, my truth, my perspectives on everything else. Now, what I do masterfully, and I think you do the same thing, Sabrina, is I drum up engagement on all the smaller nuance types of things that I share, so that when I post my sales options or opportunities to support people, people are already seeing it in their feed, whether they engage or not. But because they've engaged previously in whatever nonsense I've posted a week ago, they're seeing it in their feed. And that is the beauty. That's the mastery in engagement and messaging.
Yeah. Love that. And the intentionality too, using the algorithm to your advantage. I think it's another one. I say that a lot in my stories. I'm in my stories 24/7. I do a lot of personal. And I always tell people, like, when you go through my stories, it looks like it's just so fucking random. It's just like randomness, just like, business, this, story time, value, content, bitching, whatever. But quite honestly, there's totally a method to the madness. Like, I intentionally do something a little more off the wall right before I post something regarding my business because I know they're going to watch that all the way through and then boom, hit the business, hit the graphic, hit the sales, whatever it is that's inviting them into my business. There's a lot of pulling people in, shout outs that are done intentionally right before or after some sort of a hook for my business intentionally, because I know that they're going to watch it. So yeah, there's a lot of the other thing that I kind of want to hone in though here with your messaging is I hear this a lot. It's redundant. I feel like I'm saying it too much. I feel like I'm boring people or scaring people or overwhelming with the same message over and over and over again. What is your thoughts on that?
Don't be a robot, be an actual person, right?
Mhm.
Your messaging isn't just one-sided because you are multidimensional, you are multifaceted. So don't just post about one thing. Is my first part. The second part is who cares? Who cares? Why do you care if people who were never going to buy from you anyway get offended because you are sharing an opportunity to work together.
I love that.
Right? We have to thicken up our skin a little bit, especially in the digital space. People are going to be taken back by offers because people in general don't like being sold to.
Yeah.
Now, subliminally, we're sold to all the time. Target, Walmart, DSW, and we've accepted that. That level of consumerism as human beings, we've accepted. But people have strong definitions about what it means to be on social media. They have strong definitions of what it means to share on social media. For some people, social media only means sharing pictures of their kids and what they ate for dinner.
Yeah.
Those types of people are going to be offended that you use these platforms to connect, to sell. But those types of people were never going to buy from you anyway.
Absolutely.
So we have to stop thinking about, Karen from high school from 20 years ago, what she's going to think when you start sharing this new version of yourself or this new opportunity about how you help people. It doesn't matter. So stop wasting your energy thinking about it.
Absolutely. Love it. And I think also just leaning into what you're saying regarding like social media is played differently from a business owner to just a regular 9 to 5 person. People who are working regular 9 to 5s, they can do whatever they want with their social media. But when you're a business person, you're using it for a totally different reason than everybody else. And I remember when I made that switch, I was a little hesitant too. And like, oh, my friends, my family. And I just went all in. Do I still share personal stuff? Absolutely. But yeah, I just dove right in to business, and whoever left.
Yeah. Listen, I think about this a lot, and I've shared it recently. We are one of the first generations that are still intentionally connected with people that we should have outgrown. And social media, yeah, right? Social media is the perfect
Wait, say that
example of
again. We're intentionally connected to
With-
people we should have outgrown.
That's right.
Okay, wait. We are the only. Wait, why are we the
We're one
only?
we're the one of the first generations because of things like Facebook and Instagram, right? If you're in your 30s and your 40s, even your 50s, you are still connected with people. This is brand new. For somebody in their 60s to see the grandkids of somebody they went to high school with and to know those children's names and what they look like and what Nancy did for Thanksgiving with her family, and you haven't actually physically laid eyes on Nancy in 45 years. This is the first generation. We are the first generation that are connected with people that we've never were meant to be connected to.
Wow, girl, that is so good.
Yeah.
That is
It's
so
true,
good.
though.
I've never thought of that. Yeah, if you think of our parents, none of them talk to anybody unless they still live in the same little town, which maybe.
But not common, right?
No,
And so if
no.
you're posting with that person in mind, you're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong, girl. That person isn't even supposed to motherfucking be there.
No. That person wasn't supposed to be there after the age of 18. But here you are at 57 thinking about Nancy's grandkids again and how you don't want to share your offer because what the heck is Nancy going to think? Well, Nancy's not paying your bills, right?
Wow.
And prior to Facebook, we knew that and we understood that and we didn't care what Nancy was doing. We literally didn't care what Nancy was doing because her life didn't affect our life. And now we're muting our own greatness, our own potential to help people and to share because what's Nancy going to think?
Wow. This is like a little TMI, but I'm going to share it anyways. I was telling somebody a story a few months ago about how when I first started I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. So there's all kinds of ridiculous things that I've thought of. One of them was a online sex toy website. And it was going to be like 2 verticals. It was going to be like the actual thing for sale and then the how to use it. So you could like subscribe to like videos with like sex therapists actually showing you, not on real people, but like showing you how to use and how to, maybe some of it on real people. But anyways, I was telling this idea to somebody, I don't remember who. And they said, dude, your friends are gonna like if you do that, because I was talking about it in real life, like I was gonna do it right there and then and there. They're like, your friends are gonna freak out when they see you getting into this. Friends and family are gonna freak out when they see you getting into this genre. And that was a lot of the reason why I shifted. It hadn't even been a thought of mine because like
Mhm.
everyone has sex. Everybody like gets if you're not using toys, you're probably wearing something sexy or a sexy perfume. It might not be like everyone's getting tied up, but we're all doing something, right? We wear a little outfit, we got a little perfume, we got a little whatever, there's something. Um so anyways, to your point, exactly what you said, worried about
Mhm.
people I'm not even supposed to be talking to.
Mhm. We
Dude.
Yeah, we value the opinions of people that don't give a shit about us otherwise, except to judge us in the online space.
Yes.
I don't get a Christmas card from Nancy.
No Christmas cards.
Why am I caring that Nancy's going to be offended? Right. And listen, this is true with my immediate family too. These are people that I actually see every day. Like also my husband has family that we are very, very close to that don't approve of the fact that I'm always selling online. They're not paying my bills. I can't say that loud enough. They are not responsible for my personal feelings of fulfillment, my professional goals, or my sense of accomplishment.
I love
So
that.
if they think that social media is used to share what they ate last night and post pictures of their dog, that's awesome. That's not what I use it for.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So much goodness. I am obsessed.
Isn't it interesting though? And I don't think people really understand the power of just one word. Isn't it interesting that the feedback that you received stopped you from moving forward with that?
Yes. I'm still might do it one day. I have all of my business ideas written down.
Yeah, it could be a
So
multi-million dollar idea,
100%.
right? But
100%.
isn't it so interesting that and it's not even the feedback, it's that judgment,
Yeah.
right? We're so scared to share who we are. And by the way, and this is a huge by the way, you have permission to change who you are and to shift what you believe in.
Yeah.
I turn a lot of people off because I shift what I believe in. I have shifted very strongly the things that I believed in even 5 years ago to now. And so people that knew me then are turned off by the things that I'm sharing now. And that's okay. The way I see it, oh, go ahead.
I love this. I was just listening to a podcast not too long ago, obsessed with podcasts, not too long ago, where they were talking about somebody. They were like ripping on somebody because they were like, oh, yeah, 10 years ago, they were saying this, and 5 years was it's changed, blah, blah, blah. And I was getting so mad. I'm like, dude, we're supposed to be on a journey of
Mhm.
personal development. We're supposed to be evolving as human beings, and to expect somebody to have the same exact thought process in the current time of all the stuff they've gone through over the last 10 or 15 years or whatever, and for it to be the same as it was 15 years, they were like shaming the person.
Right.
I'm like, how dare you? One. And then two, this is why people have such a hard time getting on because they're so nervous that they're going to say something and they don't know if they can commit 100% for the rest of their life to that thing, that they don't want to say it out loud. So what you're saying, you can change.
Yeah. Well, most importantly, you have to give yourself permission to change. And for me, I do that I do that publicly. I've had my breakdowns publicly. I've had my shifts in beliefs and spirituality publicly.
Love that.
Because I know for me that my message isn't just for me. I know that my messaging has the opportunity and the potential to help another woman not feel alone. I know that my messaging and what the words that I write has the opportunity to help another woman not feel shame, right? Perhaps increase her own spiritual journey or give herself permission to not be a perfect person. And so I'm willing, the way I look at the things that I share online, I'm willing to share my shame so that another woman knows that she's not alone in her own, even
Hmm.
if it's different than mine, even if
Wow.
it's different. You,
So good.
you're going to piss people off when you are stubborn in your beliefs, but
Yeah.
you also have the permission, again, and I'm using that word intentionally, to be stubborn in your beliefs one day and then shift them and be stubborn in your new beliefs too. And the right people always seem to pop up at the right times, even if they weren't your previous audience.
Absolutely. I was listening to something regarding Kim Kardashian, and they were talking about how she didn't really take off. Like the Kardashians really didn't take off, especially Kim, until they started being so like aggressive with their point of view that it started to piss people off. And once it started to piss off like a certain amount of individuals, almost like the vigor or the energy of that, like the articles, the posts, the tagging, the energy of the negativity around their opinions is what actually had them take off. Which is very interesting. Not that you're trying to get haters, but like having a stance, saying things definitively is what creates the conversation.
Yeah, my perspectives, I'll add on to that because my perspective is a little different. To me, they took off when they were willing to be sexier, right? And that's what pisses people off. These girls, when they were
well, that's kind of the same thing, though. No,
right? No, I agree. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But when they were younger, when they just looked like regular girls, we didn't care as much about them. But when they were flaunting their sexuality, when they were flaunting the fact that they have beautiful bodies in people's faces, now all of a sudden we were interested. Whether we were interested from places of judgment or we were interested in places of wanting to support them, we all have made them billionaires, right?
Absolutely.
But they didn't do it by being regular peacekeeping people. They did it by leaning into the things that were possibly exciting them at the time.
Yeah, more risky.
Right. That's the word. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of put that together, right? Risky sexuality.
Well, sexuality aside, even because this is for anybody, you have to be so stubborn in your beliefs, so stubborn in what you're sharing that you're willing to take the risk.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's plenty of individuals who have done well for themselves and they're not wearing skin tight dresses and getting butt fillers.
I've not done the butt fillers, but listen, I've definitely posted the thirst trap pictures on my own social media because I am okay. And this is the way I see myself. I'm okay being a controversial figure. I'm not okay making women feel worse about themselves. So when I share, for the most part, I share in first person. I'm intentional about sharing my perspective so that it doesn't come off as judgment. Now, that being said, even though I do that, people are in my comments all day long judging me for what I said. Even though I'm intentional, I use first person. I say, this is my perspective. This is my truth. Yeah. People still got something to say.
Yeah.
Your perspective, your stubborn perspective is going to offend the wrong people, and it's going to bring the right people into your world.
Yeah. I did a post on my son, and I'm pro-choice. And I had, I was a single mom, no help, so there was a point when I was first pregnant where I had to decide, am I going to keep the baby or am I going to abort the baby? It was a real conversation I had. It was a real story. And before I wrote the post, I had at the beginning, like, trigger warning, abortion, pro-choice, do not read if you're going to be offended by any of these words. And yeah, same. Not a lot though. There was maybe 2 women who got like seriously offended by the, oh, look at you kept your baby, therefore what? You're flaunting it. And I'm like, dude, did you read? I'm pro-choice. Yeah. Having the baby is one of the choices.
But by the way,
pro-choice does not mean abortion.
Right.
Like, people don't understand that. Pro-choice means you believe in the choice. Having the baby is one of the choices. It's so weird to me.
Yeah. In that messaging alone, I remember that post. That was very courageous, right? So what I love about what you shared is that you helped at least one woman not feel alone in her choices, right? Regardless of what her choice was. Yeah. Your willingness to share that helped at least one woman feel seen and feel safe and feel supported. And that's really what this is all about. The social media, the websites, like we're on earth to help other people feel better in their pain.
Exactly.
Right? Always.
Yeah.
But what you did really masterfully in that messaging is you said, don't read if this is going to offend you. Do you know what everybody's going to do next?
Yeah.
They're going to read.
Yeah.
They're going to read because
I know, girl.
What's
I
she
know.
about to say? Right. That's mastery. That's mastery in your messaging.
Yeah.
Don't read if this is going to offend you. Well, now I want to know if you're going to offend me. I need to know, like, right? It's this insatiable desire of we need to know.
What is wrong with us?
Well, listen, social media just exacerbates all of the things that are wrong with us as human beings, but it gives us these wonderful opportunities to connect and to be of service and to help and to create community. And that's really, at the end of the day, what it's all about. If you are not stubborn in your beliefs, if you're not willing to share them unapologetically, if you're flippant because you don't want to piss people off, you're not going to rise to the gift that we have of being able to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been great. I took so many notes. I feel like we could just keep talking for another hour. So much goodness coming out of your mouth area right now. We have a ton of people watching live right now, and I'm sure there's going to be even more on the replay later. I'd love for you to dive into just a little bit of like, who exactly do you help? Who should be reaching out to you?
Thank you for that question. The people that I help are service-based entrepreneurs. They are moms, right? And I say that unapologetically because I can tell you with certainty that 95% of my clients have always been moms. There's a way that we can relate. There's a way that we speak. So I love working with moms that work with other moms. That is really my absolute specialty in creating content and creating digital marketing words and connection so that your services actually get off the ground and help people.
I love it. And then where can people find you and or follow you if they wanted to?
I share the most on Facebook, so please find me and follow me under Dena Farash. I have a website, denafarash.com, and I just launched a brand new digital marketing website under denadoesdigital.com. By the way, that's a play on Debbie Does Dallas. In full circle back to our sex talk, right? Debbie Does Dallas, never seen it, never will. It's tongue in cheek for me. I like it. So I figured Dena Does Digital was the next leg of my digital marketing professional services that I offer and that I share with women and moms worldwide.
I freaking love that. Girl, did you compete back in the day?
I did. Yeah, I competed in bikini. Are you looking at my Facebook?
Yeah, I've been scrolling through your Facebook the whole time we were talking.
Yeah, I did.
Dude, it's fucking impressive.
Many different versions of myself. Yeah. We all have them. We are here to evolve. We're here to change. And we're here to share these things unapologetically.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great. I so appreciate all the goodness. For those of you that are listening live or on the replay, make sure that you connect with Dena if her message is resonating with you. Her link, her website is in a clickable link in the description below, wherever you are watching us at. She predominantly hangs out on Facebook, so make sure you follow her there. And also, remember, follow, like, subscribe, share. The content here was priceless. Any closing thoughts, lady, as we close up?
Any closing thoughts you have? This is the most important thing that I'll share outside of doing the foundational work of who you are here to be of service to and what you actually offer. You need to have those questions answered inside out, forwards and backwards, diagonal, in every direction so that you can confidently share and sell to people. And then once you have that mastered, know that when you are sharing your content, when you are sharing your mastery, your messaging, you have less than 2 seconds to make that initial grab to bring people into your content. So be
wait. Yes. I have less than 2 seconds to what?
To bring people into your content. If you want people to read, you got to punch them in, bring them in those first 5 to 7 words. And I'm going to use the example that you gave again before, Sabrina. You said, you might not like what I have to say next, right? When you were talking about your pro-choice post. It's a great tagline. It's a great tagline. People are curious now. So it's
Yeah.
actually called a hook, right? Like your hook, your first 2 seconds is the most is the opportune time to bring people in.
Yeah, I tell this to people a lot. I just clicked on one. I love telling stories on social media. Like I'm one
Same.
of those long post people.
Same.
The stories that people are like, dude, I never read that shit. I fucking read stories all the time. I love reading stories. But anyways, I clicked on one right now, and I do this without a doubt. If you go to any of my longer stories on Facebook, this one that I just clicked on randomly, the first sentence, I was in the fetal position on the floor. I felt like death was coming out of me.
I'm curious to know more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what Dena's talking about right there.
Yeah, I'm curious to know more. I'm like you. I write stories. I write really long stories on social media, and it always blows my mind that people take the time to read them. But the only reason they read them is because I've done a really, really great job with the first sentence. It's the first sentence.
The first sentence.
The rest is just the journey. It's just the story. Hopefully, it's the call to action at the end. But the only reason people are reading is because I've mastered that first sentence.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, this was awesome. I so appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. This is Dena's second time on our podcast. She did so good the first time that we had her back again. And who knows, maybe we'll have her back a third time.
Honored to be here.
Yes, girl, you're the best. So that brings us to an end of yet another incredible episode of Her Talk Show. Thank you, Dena, for sharing so much wisdom and inspiring us to write better messages. To our dedicated listeners, thank you for staying with us until the very end. And once again, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation Global, also in a clickable link below, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way. Until next time.